All right, there we go. Welcome everybody to another episode of Workflow Wednesday, where we have industry experts come on and answer some questions, give a little word about their workflow and things like that. Today we're joined by Jay Lippman, freelance video editor, and our local resident Matt Bach, senior labs technician. So just as I like to start off, just in case nobody knows, go ahead and introduce yourself, a little background and all that good jazz, Jay.
Like you said, I'm a YouTuber, freelance video editor, and that's it. I started off editing. I've been doing it for about 2 years, but it's the one thing that I love doing, pretty much more than anything else.
Nice, right on.
Yeah.
I know. I went way back and I watched like your very first like two videos, and
Hmm.
it's very cool to see where you've come, or how far I suppose you've come in just 2 years. Actually, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and those aren't even my first two videos. I have another
Oh,
channel that I never ever talk about because it's literally just video after video of me. When I was gearing up to finally go full time, trying to grow a life coaching business. Um, I was recording YouTube videos in my phone, in my car
hey.
on the way to work and on the way home. I would just put
Hmm.
my phone in the little dash mount of my car, and I would just rant to my phone, uh, for 5, 10, 15 minutes. I wouldn't edit it, and I would just upload it to YouTube.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It
dig it.
was they were bad though.
Uh, well, it's funny you mentioned that because I've done similar on Twitch. I've done those sort of like stream of consciousness kind of things. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
That's a good way to start. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, cool. We got people coming in already. That's great. Um, so one thing that just for me, I'm just gonna jump right into this. One thing that stood out for me when I was looking through some of your videos and stuff was one that was labeled "I am not a DaVinci Resolve guy," and so I thought this was gonna I thought it was gonna be more related to some comments in your bio about you being more of an audio production sort of
Mhm.
background. Um, but then it didn't quite go that way, and I was curious to know a little bit more about that side of things. You're not a DaVinci Resolve guy, but all of your content, or a good portion of it, is centered around that.
So that's an interesting story. I started this particular YouTube channel, again, life coaching business, right? That and
Mhm.
a lot of my earlier content that I actually deleted off of the channel, um, is was all based on that, right? It was all with the goal to grow that business, and um, eventually I absolutely fell in love with editing when I finally switched over. I started off on a Chromebook editing in WeVideo, which is just bad. If the free version only lets you export in 480p. So yeah, it's bad. So I went from that to Filmora, and Filmora was cool. But when I jumped over to Premiere, it dawned on me that I already had Photoshop and Lightroom and the rest of the Adobe Cloud Suite.
Mhm.
Uh, I I started editing in Premiere Pro, and I realized, like, very quickly, like, I made my first vlog is what happened. It was my first non-talking head video. That's on my channel. It's the uh well, I can't even remember the name of the video. Why I'm So Happy, I think, is the
Mhm.
name of that video. And it was literally just a day in the life vlog, and I made that and I cut it together, and my brain just exploded. And I was like, this is what I want to be doing. I just want to make videos. And very quickly learned that editing was my favorite part of making videos.
Yeah.
Um, so I was kind of going back and forth at that point. Like, it would be like I would learn something new, then I would teach it to my audience, right? But in between all of that, there was a lot of vlogs that just weren't going anywhere. Um, and Premiere Pro eventually started not working on my laptop because my laptop was just not built for video editing, especially not on something like Premiere Pro.
Hmm.
Came across DaVinci Resolve, and I started using it, and I was like, let's do a comparison video. Let's see where that goes. And I did the first DaVinci Resolve versus Premiere Pro video, and that was the first video on my channel to hit 10,000 subscribe or 10,000 views. And I was like, ooh, and everybody was like, you have to do a follow-up. You have to do a follow-up. So I did DaVinci Resolve versus Premiere Pro 6 months later. That video, I think, is now either approaching or past 300,000 views. And it just seemed like I would do a video that had nothing to do with editing, nothing to do with DaVinci Resolve, it would tank. And then I would do a video that had something to do with DaVinci Resolve, and it would do really, really well. So I just started leaning into the DaVinci Resolve thing. But in the back of my head was like, I don't want to get pigeonholed, right?
Sure.
Like, I don't want to be a DaVinci Resolve channel. I want to talk about video editing, right? I want to talk about filmmaking. And so that the whole purpose of that video was after basically a year of really leaning into DaVinci Resolve and almost getting sick of it. You know, I was getting sick of constantly talking about DaVinci Resolve, and the whole thing, that whole point of that video is like, look, coming up, I'm going to keep doing those tutorials, but I'm going to do some more creative projects. I'm going to do some more vlogs. I'm going to talk about video editing as a whole. And, you know, because I'm not a DaVinci Resolve guy. I'm a video editing guy.
Sure.
And so like, you'll notice there's a clear break, you know, after January, it's almost half and half. There's a bunch of DaVinci Resolve stuff, but then there's a bunch of stuff that's just, there's about editing gear, about the art of cutting footage. There's all sorts of stuff. So that's the story behind that video.
Yeah,
That's
DaVinci
cool.
Resolve is so interesting to me because it's so popular in certain like circles, you know, especially the people looking for free stuff that then later they can upgrade to the studio version. But like, I mean, it's used widely even in the really high-end market for coloring, just not for editing as much yet. But what's really weird to me is how it has that popularity, but there's very little like tutorials and stuff. Like you try to Google something, like you see like the very basic stuff, but there's no like in-depth things like there is for Premiere. Like Premiere, man, you want to know how to do anything, you can find a tutorial for it. Same like After Effects or Photoshop.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just feels like Resolve. It's like there's this like void of content about it. So it's great seeing like your stuff. And that's probably why they do so well, is because there's like a hunger for it. But
yeah, there was definitely a white space, especially more so a couple, you know, what was it? I guess we're almost 2 years ago now. When I started doing DaVinci Resolve content, there was definitely a much bigger white space than there is now. Now there's a lot of people doing.
I mean, it's only been
Resolve content
3 or 4 years since they added the editing stuff.
Yeah, what was it? DaVinci Resolve 12 or 14? I know it was an even number.
Yeah,
I remember weird things like that, but it was one of those. I think it might have been 12 where they started adding the video editing capabilities. Before that, it was just color grading, and now there's now it's a full suite, and it is definitely gaining momentum. And now it's basically discussed. Like if you're looking for professional video editing software, most people, they're looking either between Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve, or if they're on a Mac, they're looking between Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, or Final Cut. And then every once in a while, somebody pops in and says, "But what about Avid?" But other than that, it's just it's those three. Those are the big three right now.
Yeah, we hear a little bit of requests for like Vegas, but
Yeah,
for us, it's about the same between Vegas and Avid, because Avid is just so weird. Like that's the super high end, you know, TV shows kind of stuff.
Well, that was the
Hollywood.
industry standard for a while.
Yeah, well, yeah, for a long time. And I mean, we're getting down a rabbit hole here, but I feel like they became so much of an industry standard that they became complacent and they just coasted. And you're just even seeing just now, the last year or two, they did like a big old redesign to their whole interface, and now all the Avid users hate it because it's different. They have to do something, or they're just going to keep bleeding people over to Resolve and Premiere and all those other guys.
Yeah. Meanwhile, here's me saying, I want to try Avid. I love trying news. I have a whole series on my channel where I just try new editing softwares.
Oh, neat.
DaVinci Resolve guy tries. And I've done so far, I've only done 3. I've got a couple more in the works. One of them is actually on a tablet. I have a Samsung Galaxy Tab S6, and I really want to do DaVinci Resolve guy tries KineMaster, which is a mobile, probably the closest thing to a professional editing app you can get on Android.
Have you tried
And
Rush?
I have tried Rush, although Rush is not available on the tablet.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's
I have it on
odd.
I have it on my phone. I can do it on my phone, but Android tablets do not support Adobe Rush right now, which is interesting. But so I'm going to do that. But I've done Movavi, and then I did InVideo, which is like an online short form video creator thing, and then I recently just did actually Vegas Pro 18, which just got launched. So I did that one as well, and I'm working on doing one for actually the whole new Vegas. There's a Vegas Post, which is the whole suite of tools. It's got the compositor and all that stuff. So I'm going to be trying that out as well.
That's cool. I can't imagine I feel like there really can't be that much difference between the actual like execution of, they're all editing software, so like how much different could they really be? Like you're all trying to accomplish the same thing. That's like the difference between 6 different hammers.
Yeah, that's true. And I come from construction, so so let me tell you, 6 different hammer. There are so many different kinds of hammers, but it really is. A lot of the tools are the same. A lot of the tools are the same until you get into things like After Effects versus Fusion, where those are completely different mechanics altogether. For the most part, when it comes to choosing between software, it has to do with workflow. It has to do with, because they may have the same tools, but they're laid out differently. You use them in a different manner. Now, some of them, there's more color grading tools in DaVinci Resolve than there are in Premiere Pro. But when it comes to like basic editing, cutting footage and stuff like that, all of the tools are there. It's just a matter of which workflow connects best with your brain. And when I felt, and this is nothing against Premiere Pro, and I think a lot of people don't get that when I talk about the differences between softwares, is like, I don't have anything against, I don't think one is better than the other. I just can connect with the workflow in one better than the other. When I was with Premiere Pro, I felt confused pretty much the whole time. When I jumped over to DaVinci Resolve, it just clicked. I learned it a lot faster than I did with Premiere Pro.
That's just funny because. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I dabbled with it with Resolve a little bit myself, and it looks to be set up in a good flow. Like you just go from one tab to the next, and then you're just done. That seemed like a smart way of doing things.
Yeah, it was
trying to do that, but
yeah, they do. I mean, yeah, they do. I mean, they have their color, their color tab, which is like almost the same interface, just rearranged, with each one. And I honestly never used those. I felt like every time I clicked on one of those, I got lost all over again. I basically stayed. There's one that says like all tools or all tabs or something like that, where it basically gives you everything you need. And I kind of lived in there for a while. And I knew how to get to each individual tool that I needed, but I always felt a little bit lost. And like I said, that's nothing against Premiere Pro. It's just, I guess, the way my brain works. When I got to DaVinci Resolve, it was like, oh, well, this makes sense, until I got to Fusion. And then I was just like, what?
It's funny. I'm kind of the opposite. Like I dabble in both. I mean, I'm not a professional editor by any means, but I dabble in both. And to me, if I'm going to do something really quick, I always default to using Premiere for some reason. I don't know why, but I just do. But like Resolve and Blackmagic, I really love their like philosophy behind everything, and like how they put out their own training videos of how to do things, and like everything, the whole like free model that has everything that someone who just needs free software is going to need. And then if they want to upgrade to get like the GPU accelerated encoding and decoding, the OpenFX, noise reduction, like you don't need that if you're just like a game streamer editing videos. But once you need those, then it's only like a $200 license or whatever it is. Like that's awesome.
$300 one time, lifetime license, and you get it for 2 computers, which is nice. And so the pricing, I mean, to be honest, I was on the free version for a long time, And I only upgraded. It's funny. A bunch of people gave me they were making fun of me because I actually upgraded on Valentine's Day. So I spent $300 on myself on Valentine's Day. And everybody was like, you better have gotten your girlfriend a really good gift. But I upgraded mostly for that noise reduction and the GPU acceleration. Because by that point I had upgraded the laptop and I actually had like a relatively decent GPU and I could actually take advantage of that GPU acceleration. So I figured I've got the money, the channel's making a little bit of money. I've got a couple freelance projects and let's go ahead and upgrade because we're at the point where I'm going to need to do more.
So I don't know if we've gotten any questions yet, but I'm going to throw in my own like
Yeah, please
workflow
do.
kind of question. So you mentioned you got it for the noise reduction. Curious, how do you handle noise reduction in your workflow since it's so heavy? Like you're not going to turn on noise reduction and then edit. Do you like do it at the start and then like export and then bring back in footage that has already been, you know, noise reduced or whatever the term is, or do you like leave it to the very end?
I leave it for the very end. So what I'll do, for anybody who's watching who knows nothing about DaVinci Resolve, the noise reduction, the studio noise reduction lives in the color page, and color grading in DaVinci Resolve is all done in nodes. Just think of nodes as layers. So what I do is the very first node, I leave blank. I do all of my color grading in nodes 2 and beyond. And then when everything is done, and I'm talking everything, effects, audio, color, all of it's done, then I will go back and I'll go to that first node and I'll do my noise reduction. And so I've just found better results when I do the noise reduction, you know, when it comes first in the grading process. But it's so heavy that I actually have to go back and do it.
Yeah,
you're right. It is that and super scale are the two heaviest things that I use.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard that there's a way to like mass turn on or off nodes. I haven't actually gotten into it.
Yes.
But
so if you're on a PC, you just hit Alt D and that'll take off all the nodes, but only on the clip.
I've heard there's a way like you can disable all of the first nodes on every clip. So like you could actually have noise reduction on that first node. You can make sure that like it looks fine, and then you just disable it, and at the very end you just enable all of those first nodes, and then you can export.
The only way that I know how to do it, and I actually do this, is if you put a bunch of clips into a group.
Oh, okay.
And then you can do the noise reduction, do all your grading, and then turn off that noise reduction. Then it'll be the same thing as turning it off for all of the clips.
Yeah.
But honestly, what I've started doing, if I need to, if it starts to get heavy, is because I have my problem with doing noise reduction last is I will forget to do it. There are a couple videos on my channel where like I've uploaded everything, it's gone out, it's public, and I'll be watching it back and I'll be like, I totally forgot to do noise reduction. So what I will do is I'll actually do all my color grading, including noise reduction. And I will go over in your playback monitor. There's that little symbol where you can turn all of the effects and grades off across the entire video. And I'll just click that to disable everything and continue on with my edit.
How often do you have to use noise reduction? Is it mostly in like darker shots, or do you just do it on everything?
I don't do it on everything. I do it in almost every video that's on my channel, because I shoot on a Canon. What's my camera? Canon SL2, which is, it's discontinued by Canon for one. You can like pick them up on eBay for less than $500 with the kit lens. And it's a great camera. That my problem is it shoots, 8-bit H.264. And I am stubborn and I will push every piece of footage I get like it is 10-bit raw. So there's always, you know, a certain level of noise in my personal videos. So I use it in basically all my videos.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know. I have to admit, it took me a second to realize you guys were talking about the video sort of noise reduction and not like a quieter computer.
Oh, yeah.
But I caught on quick enough. I saw what was going on.
Yeah, because I mean, you've got noise reduction on audio and video, and
Mm-hmm.
and the noise reduction on audio stuff is getting pretty cool recently. There's a lot of stuff being done with like artificial intelligence being used. I'm using it right now. Like I'm using Nvidia's RTX voice because I have screaming kids in the other room, and no one can ever hear it.
Yeah, nice.
It's amazing.
I haven't tried that out
for
yet.
the AC.
I should.
It's so good. Like, I mean, if it's too loud, your audio quality will start to degrade. But with stuff like kids or something, like I would rather my audio slightly degrade for that, you know, couple of seconds than, you know, have screaming kids or doors slamming or whatever.
That's pretty cool.
I should use that because we've got, you know, animals. Roommate. My studio doesn't have walls or a door. So basically this wall, and there's the big bay window directly in front of me. That's it. And then over here is like open. And so I'm constantly dealing with noise.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I'm like so tempted to like, I'm just going to give you a demo right now, but no, we've got more important things to talk about. But yeah, give it a shot. You just need a Nvidia video card, which I mean, the system you just got from us has one. I don't actually remember the specs.
I'm not sure myself.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Just you'll need an Nvidia graphics card for the RTX voice thing, and I think the machine you have now.
Yeah. Oh, the machine I have now has two of them, so yeah, we're good to go. We got two 8 GB RTX 2080 Supers.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's gonna be awesome.
So I was editing the unboxing of the computer. I was editing it and rendering it out at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And for context, I get up at 4 a.m. every day. But but I just this is like the story of my entire week. But I was editing it out and I was getting to render, and I was just like, I'm going to put noise reduction and super scale on this video, 9-minute long video, and just pray to the editing gods that it doesn't. Because that on the laptop would have been easily a 3-hour render if it didn't completely crash DaVinci Resolve. I rendered this video out on this new machine in 20 minutes.
That's super two to one for like time, video length to render time. It's not bad. With noise reduction and
noise reduction and super scaled, 3 times super scaled. So yeah, I was just like, I can't believe, wow. I figured I was going to render it out and then go to bed and then wake up and upload it. But I saw it. I was like, does that really say 20 minutes? It was like 19 minutes and 52 seconds. And I was like, I'll just stay awake and upload it tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. We made your insomnia worse.
Oh no, it's fun. It's fine. I'm used to this. I have a kid, so I'm used to the no sleep thing.
So we do have one question from YouTube that might have been answered by somebody else, but just in case, so we can have another perspective. Hakon Broderlund asks, many edit with footage on SSD and archive on hard drive. How do you archive DaVinci Resolve projects while still having clips linked in the project if you have to go back?
Very good question. I actually don't. So here's my typical workflow. I edit off the internal SSD, and I have a 10 terabyte G Technology external hard drive that I put all my archival stuff on. And basically what I will do is, if I have to get back into the project for whatever reason, I will just go and relink the media, because you can do top level relinking. So you don't have to go clip by clip by clip by clip by clip. And if you have your projects organized correctly, then all your footage should be there, and you click 3 buttons and everything's relinked and you can just keep going. So I just make sure that I organize my projects, you know, right off the bat. And from there I can just relink the media.
Yeah, the other thing you can do, I want to get the things right, so I'm watching Resolve here, is in your preferences, there's the media storage, and there's media storage locations, and you can add another location. And basically, if you have 2 locations, so your SSD and your hard drive, if the file structure, folder structure is the same underneath those, or for whatever folder you put, if the folder structure is the same underneath it, it'll automatically relink. And they did that so that you could have, like, you know, files at work and at home over VPNs and whatever, and it'll automatically relink. It also works great if you have mixed Mac and PC workflows, because then you have both of those. You link the, you know, mount location on Mac and the mount location on PC, and it'll automatically, like, do all of that relinking when you open up a project. So if you have your hard drive and your SSD as media storage locations, it should just automatically work.
Oh, nice. Look at that. Learn something new every day. I'm gonna have to set that up.
Neat.
See, well, I mean, this is a new workflow for me. You know, what I've been doing, because I mean, that laptop, 1 hard drive. So everything got edited and stored off of that 10 terabyte external. I mean, luckily it connected via Thunderbolt 3. It was fast. So it didn't hinder me too much. But now that I can actually edit off of internal, now I have to look into that, because that's,
yeah, it's really cool. I heard about this a couple of years ago. I'm super fortunate that I get to go out to, like, shows like NAB and, like, just go to sessions to learn, like, what are people doing. And that was one of those things in some session about Resolve. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
nice.
I think that was one about, like, workflows, like multi-user workflows. They were using a Mac Mini as the database server, the SQL database server, and then, like, how you can, like, have Macs and PCs, you know, pull the project files off of that Mac Mini and then edit with local storage. And
Oh, that's
they
so
made it
neat.
very complex.
But it worked.
That's cool.
And that's cool.
It worked.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about DaVinci Resolve is, like, it just seems like I haven't really found anything. I haven't found anything necessary that I can't do.
Yeah,
know,
I
like
wish the projects were easier to back up, because you have to, like,
That would
export
be-
the database.
Yeah, that would be nice. I actually have, since I'm a G Suite customer, so I have unlimited storage in Google Drive. So I'll back it up, and I have Google Drive file stream downloaded on the computer. So I'll literally just back up right to there.
Right.
And then I get my backups in Google Drive, and because it's always good to have offsite backup.
Yeah. Do you back
Oh,
up
for
all
sure.
of your media into Google Drive, or how do you
All of my
handle-
media? No.
Yeah. How do you handle backups? I mean, or
I back up my database after every editing day. I will back up.
okay.
But as far as media is concerned, media will live on my computer for roughly, unless I fall behind, about 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
Because I've never really had to go back to old footage, especially with the talking head stuff that I do. There's rarely anything that I can really go back to. The one thing that I do keep forever are the finished videos, the final products. Those I keep forever, and those are also backed up in Google Drive. But other than that, I don't. There was, like, I think at first, when I first really got into editing, and everybody, editors, here's the thing about editors, we're footage hoarders, right? We don't want to let go of any piece of footage. It's like a heartbreak. It's like letting go of your children every single time. So I think for, like, the first year, every 6 months, I would put everything into a zip file. So I probably have a good year's worth of actual footage that I have never gone back to touch. I've never, ever, it's just taking up space. but I zipped an entire year's worth of footage, final videos, everything. And that's all sitting in my Google Drive right now.
Just taking up space because you're never ever going to use it.
Yeah, basically, never. I mean, one, they're horrible videos. One, because like when I started editing, I came from an audio background. I'm a musician, been a musician since I was 11. I just turned 37. So 26 years I've been a musician. And a lot of that time was spent in recording studios. We're really good friends with our producer. So I actually learned how to mix audio. And so when I came in, it was one with an audio background and two wanting to learn how to cut, right? That was like the most important thing. I want to learn how to cut the footage, tell a good story. I tried my hand at color grading. It never turned out well. So like I've got a year's worth of videos that are colored horribly, that hopefully tell a good story and that have relatively decent audio. Because as much of an audio background as I had, audio editing for music and audio editing for video are vastly different.
Right.
So,
and actually on the topic of audio, what do you think of the Fairlight section of Resolve? Do you use it much?
I use it every video.
Okay.
Every single video. Every tool that I need is in there. There are a couple tools that I wish they had. The couple things that I do miss from my Adobe days are one, the essential audio, where you can just like label something. This is dialogue, this is sound effects, this is music, and you just click and it'll auto normalize and everything. So I miss that because it just gives you a great starting point for editing audio. And then the other thing that I miss is their voice leveler, but that's more in Audition than Premiere. Whenever I have an audio only project, I still go back to Audition, but I would love a voice leveler. I use the Era 4 Acusonus, the Acusonus Era 4 bundle, and they have a voice leveler in there, but I don't like the results that I get from it. All of the tools are amazing. It's just that one, I can never tweak it right. It seems like I actually talked about this in my live stream today, but the way that it works is, you have audio that's up here, you got audio that's down here, and the voice leveler is supposed to level them out.
Right.
But it seems like what it does is it keeps the louder parts up here, and then it just boosts the lower parts. And so when you're playing it back, the parts that were low sound drastically different from the parts that were already loud enough. And Adobe have been the only ones that have given me an acceptable result from voice leveling.
I have to say that's something so like in this setting after this, I'm going to pull the audio from this recording, and I have the hardest time, I guess, normalizing the audio, like getting everybody to sound like right now. I know Matt is going to sound way louder than the two of us. And having those all come out the same, and also having them all kind of match all the rest of the episodes has been a horrendous struggle for me. I don't know what to do.
Adobe Audition voice leveler.
Okay. Okay. Because a lot of times I just try and tweak it inside of Premiere. I'll have to dig around.
I don't know if the voice leveler is available in Audition or in Premiere. I know it's available in Audition, and yeah, if you put that on there, it'll do a good job of at least getting it like right in the ballpark where it's acceptable. And then after that, you just normalize, your project, make sure all of your projects are normalized to the same level. And you're good to go.
Cool. Let's see. Oh, we have a question for Jay from Garrett Reviews.
Hey,
DaVinci is great, but things like Filmora 9 has so many options when it comes to transitions and effects. Is DaVinci worth the learning curve as you have to do everything manually?
It depends, right? And this is like that cheesy YouTuber answer, but it really does. It really does depend on what you want to do, right? Like if you want to get into professional editing, or if you go through the transitions in Filmora and you just don't like any of them, then yes, it's 100% worth the learning curve. It was worth it for me. But at the same time, if your goal is to make, good looking YouTube videos and have the option of dragging some effects into there and dragging some transitions into there and making it look, good, then Filmora is great for that. Like, honestly, DaVinci Resolve, it was built, and this is the same thing with Premiere Pro and the same thing with Avid and basically anything that was built for professionals. It's made to allow you to have the options to build things from the ground up. So you have that flexibility. But if you don't need that flexibility, if you're fine with the pre-built stuff that other software gives you, it's cheaper, it's lighter on your computer, and it's easier. Why wouldn't you go for it? Use the tool that's right for you.
Yeah.
And Resolve does have a lot of transition packs. You can just go, there's a lot of free ones. There's a lot of pretty cheap ones. So just like, Premiere, you can go and get some transition packs if you really want to get fancy, do some glitch transitions and all those kind of things.
Oh yeah.
I remember when I was using Adobe, there was a transitions pack called Handy Seamless Transitions that I absolutely loved. And I wish whoever made that would make a DaVinci Resolve version, because they to this date are the best pre-made transitions that I've ever used.
Nice.
But yeah, it definitely does. Like I was saying before, like there's that void of like content for Resolve. Same thing with like plugins. Like you can get anything.
That was my last DaVinci Resolve versus Premiere Pro 6 months later. That was like one of my big things is like Adobe, if you want assets, if you want tutorials, you want all that stuff, you could throw a rock and hit somebody who can help you. With DaVinci Resolve, it's a lot less so, but actually that's changing a little bit. A bunch of the DaVinci Resolve YouTubers have actually we've banded together. One of us, Jake Whip, he started a Discord server where you can go, and there are people like myself and him and a few other, Billy Ribka is a really good one, and there's a few others that are in there just ready to answer questions and ready to help you solve problems that you may come across. And so that's pretty cool. So now there's that resource, which honestly is one of the best resources. And I'm not just saying it because I'm a part of it. I actually believe that. It's kind of a one-stop shop, and you can get help with effects, audio, everything.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. Let me see. There was another question about streaming. Okay. Here it is. Also from Garrett. When you live stream, how does it get to 1080p or 4K? Which camera rules the host? So I think that was directed more for us.
Oh yeah.
But
I think that is.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's the host though.
Yeah. So for us, it's so I'm the host. It's a 1080p 30 FPS stream out of OBS. I'm capturing the Zoom meeting window. But then I have a nice handy cam being captured with a HD60S, which is my main camera in Zoom. And then everybody else, I'm not sure what you guys are using, but it looks good.
I use my Canon SLT.
Webcam. For me, it's just a webcam. Yeah, and we've been talking for a while about like maybe trying Skype, because Skype does is it NDI?
NDI, yeah.
NDI outputs. So like, there's been a lot of requests for Zoom to add NDI, so you could actually take the camera streams and pull them directly rather than just like doing a screen capture.
That would be
cool. If they could add that, that'd be amazing. Especially with how many of these like things like this are happening right now with all the lockdown stuff.
Yeah, two of the big ones that you might want to look into are StreamYard, which StreamYard's really big right now, and then there's another one, but I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember, but there's one, and it all lives online. There's no software to download or anything, and it's everything that I have seen from them. Has like every stream that I've seen that has gone through StreamYard has been like really high quality. You can highlight comments from the chat on the screen, and yeah, it's really
that's cool.
Nice little program. Yeah, it's really cool.
But yeah, I'll have to look into that. It looks really neat actually. I'm just on their main website and it looks pretty cool. So I'll have to dig into that because we also use Restream.io to
That's
push
it.
out.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Okay, because that's how we're doing this on Twitch, Periscope, and YouTube all at the same time.
Oh, so you're. Oh, wow. Okay, nice.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Streamer is web-based, no need for an app. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. It looks neat. Let's see. Garrett's wondering if you are brand new to Resolve, how long is needed to become proficient? What is a reasonable expectation?
Garrett's with all the questions. Garrett's a good guy. He's one of my channel members, actually.
Right on.
So if you're brand new to Resolve, I think it depends on a couple things. It depends. It depends on a couple things. One, how much prior editing, experience do you have in other software? What software are you coming from, and how much work are you going to put into it? If you have a good amount, like for me, I came from Premiere Pro. I had a decent amount of time using it, not enough to be like an authority on the subject, but enough to be able to put out a decent looking and sounding video. And I was, editing all the time. So I was going to be learning rather quickly. And for me, it was fairly quick. Other people, people who just are brand new to video editing and brand new to DaVinci Resolve, it's going to take you a while, because not only do you have to learn the tools available in DaVinci Resolve, but you also have to learn, how do you actually edit a video? So it really does depend on where you're coming from, and how hard are you willing to work? How much time are you willing to put into it? How much time do you have available to put into it to learn? The more time, the more practice, the faster you learn. So reasonable expectation, I would say if you practice a little bit, almost every day, you should have enough knowledge to put out a decent sounding and decent looking video in, a month, I think is reasonable. Everything's laid out so well. Just, stay away from effects, only learn basic color correction, don't get into color grading, and, don't dive too far into audio. Just level things out and use noise reduction. You just get it sounding decent, get it looking decent, tell a cohesive story. You're good. You can figure out how to do that in a month easy.
Nice.
I'm curious.
Nice.
What do you think of? I keep asking about specifics about Resolve, but like the cut page versus the edit page. Do you think that using the cut page is useful for newer people, or do you think they should just skip it and go straight to the edit page because it's the more powerful page or tab?
I think you should learn how to use both. I use both on larger projects.
Oh, you do?
So
okay.
What I will do is I'll use the cut page to actually cut out the pieces of footage that I'm going to use in the video.
Oh.
And then when I'm ready to, kind of refine the edit, I will go into the edit page and I'll start actually putting things where they need to go. So I think the cut page is a really good tool for that, for longer projects, just scrubbing through footage, figuring out what you're keeping, what you're getting rid of. Hence cut page, cutting room floor. Get it? Like it's really a good tool for that. And it's a good tool for putting together quick videos. So I think it depends. Again, I'm so sick of
Everything.
but everything depends on your workflow and what your goal is, right? If you just want to put together a quick video, you can put together a quick video in the cut page, no problem. They have tons of tools. It's definitely a lot different than the edit page, and it took me a little bit to really learn how to do it. But it's there. And if you're just starting out in DaVinci Resolve and you're just like, I just want to put together a quick video, go for it. Use the cut page. Absolutely.
Right.
But if you want to get into more complicated workflows, then I would learn how to use the edit page. And then I would learn how you can use the cut page and the edit page together.
Let's see. Huh.
It's a good answer.
Yeah. So we have one that I missed from Twitch. This is from an old friend, Deddy. He was wondering, can we ask Jay about his current audio setup for streaming? I love how natural it's sounding. And I was curious about that too, especially because you have a bit of an audio background.
Yeah. So currently audio setup, I have an Octava MK12, which is a little pencil mic. pencil mics are actually typically used as instrument microphones. They're really, really popular for overhead mics for drums, but they're very, very good for picking up really good audio, especially in untreated rooms indoors. Shotguns are not good for indoor dialogue unless you're in a really well-treated room.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because shotguns have really good off-axis off-axis rejection. But front and back are on the same axis.
Right.
So you're going to pick up a lot from the back. Pencil mics, also known as small, can't talk. This is what happens when you've been talking for 2 hours. Small diaphragm condensers is the technical name for a pencil mic.
Okay.
Pencil mic are really good at picking up just directional audio and rejecting it from everywhere else. So you'll still get a little bit of bounce, a little bit of reverb, but it's not nearly as much as you would get with a shotgun mic. So I have that up here, and that's running through my Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, which is my USB audio interface. And then that's running into a USB 3 port on the back of the PC.
Nice.
Very simple setup.
Yeah.
And it's all connected to this weird little contraption that I built yesterday.
Yeah. Which looks super cool. When you had mentioned the DSLR
DSLR
video shoot. Yeah, and it's the first video that he's got up on his landing page there, and
nice.
Just a quick glimpse of the setup looks super cool.
It's bizarre. My desk looks like Doc Ock right now, so
that's neat. Let's see. We have some comments. One great thing about having a system that has enough power is the ability to skim over your footage without it slowing down. Also, you don't have to use proxies, which I've heard that from quite a few people is a bit of a pain. The whole using proxies and stuff.
Using proxies isn't a pain. Generating the proxies is a pain. And it's easy. Like the process is easy, but it takes forever for it to actually do the conversion. I don't know what it is, but that generating proxy files in DaVinci Resolve, that is one thing I will say is just downright needs to be fixed, because it takes forever. I don't know what they're doing, but that is one thing that needs to be fixed. I try and avoid using proxies as much as possible. Laptop editing, you can't really avoid it, but it's not good. I will do every other smooth playback trick in the book before I generate proxy.
Actually, that might be something, Matt, you could comment on. What exactly is happening when you're generating a proxy? Like what's the deal there?
I mean, all it is you're just exporting. It's just, I mean, in Resolve they call it optimized media, but I mean it's just proxies. But all it is it's just exporting it, and then it's linking it kind of as like a secondary source for your footage that you can toggle between. I mean, and that's the same whether you're using Premiere or DaVinci Resolve. I mean, you can make the proxies in Media Encoder and then link them in Resolve if you really wanted to.
That's true.
I don't know why you would, unless you wanted to use like ProRes proxies, because you can't export to ProRes on Windows in Resolve.
Right.
But I mean, it's just if you were to take that clip, a normal clip, stick it into the Deliver tab in Resolve and set it to the same settings as your proxies are, it'll take exactly as long to render that. So that's all it is. It's just a render. So it's just all comes down to, I mean, there's some interesting things you could do if you wanted faster proxy generation. Not scaling it would probably actually make the proxies or the optimized media generate faster, because it's not having to do any scaling. So keeping it at the same resolution, but just I guess not the lightest weight codec, but the easiest to process, like DNX HR, is it LB is the lowest? I forget which.
I think LB is the lowest. Yeah.
I can't remember if that's ProRes or DNX, but whatever the lowest is.
I don't.
I mean, it's going to be large files. I mean, that's the thing that is interesting to me from some like newer people into editing. Like they think that proxies should be these tiny files, where often the proxies are going to be bigger than your source footage. I mean, you could do tiny H.264 proxies, and maybe your system will be able to edit it if you make them small enough and lower res and all that kind of jazz. But
no, because
quality is going to be crap.
It's uncompressing basically what you have. I mean, have you ever seen the size of a of a uncompressed QuickTime file.
It's huge.
It's huge.
Huh. Huh. Yeah,
That's
I'm always learning new stuff when we do these sort of talks. So
yeah, that reminds me of the AMD has the SSG video card. I forget how much RAM it has, video memory it has on it. It's like 48 gigs or something like that. And one of the big things they had was you can edit raw, uncompressed red 8K real time was their thing. But basically, all it was doing was it was creating, or no, it was like a 2 terabyte, like it basically a drive on the video card itself. But basically, all it was doing was you would generate kind of proxies, but it would be uncompressed stored on the video card so that it could play it back. But what they didn't tell you is that because it's uncompressed, if you did 8K, you could edit 90 seconds of footage at a time. And then you'd have to basically re-render all of this proxies stuff again. And then you can do another 90 seconds. So like,
Wow.
okay, it kind of looks okay on a demo, like on the NAB show floor, but anyone doing that in reality, because that's all you get. If 90
That's
seconds
tricky.
of 8K raw uncompressed fulfill the 2 terabytes.
Wow.
That's
It never got used in the real world. No one's ever used
Well,
it.
yeah,
or
because
now.
who's only doing 90 seconds at a time? That's
Exactly.
crazy.
I mean, I'm working, 60 to 90 seconds at a time. I'll get,
Mhm.
it depends on the project. Like for the video that I've got coming out tomorrow, it took place. There's like 4 or 5 like definitive scenes in this video, which is why I was so excited to edit it, because I haven't done something like that on my channel in a while. But I would go scene by scene. And so that first
Okay.
one is like a minute and 5 seconds, something like that. And I did 65 seconds. I got the footage cut, I got the audio done, I got the color done, everything was done. I played it back, I rendered it out to show to my little YouTube mastermind group and get their opinion, and then I moved on to the next little chunk.
Okay.
So I will
Oh.
edit 90 seconds at a time, but I won't always render every single little section out.
Yeah.
That extra part is just too
Yeah,
much.
it was a weird workflow. And then they got like Adobe to like add it actually in as an official like part when you ingest footage. Like there's an option to add all these things. And yeah, again, I've never heard of anyone outside of like there are 2 people that they had like promote it. These video editors like, this is awesome, like promote it. And
Huh.
What are you gonna do?
sometimes I feel like those
Right.
companies are just making things because they can. Like they don't know
yeah,
if there's a
of course.
real use. I mean, Intel does
Yeah.
that all the time too.
You don't.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you don't know if there's a use for it until you make it and find out that there is no use for it. So.
Yeah, that does seem to be a thing, because you have to try. You got to put something out there, because otherwise, maybe you don't know. Like it could become something useful, even if it doesn't seem like it off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, some people will put out something and it's like, yeah, there's no use for that. And then, 5 years later, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
somebody comes out with something else that has a problem that thing that came out 5 years ago is actually a solution for. So,
Yeah.
So I'll throw in another one of my questions here as we're on
Sure.
this topic. So Blackmagic, a little bit ago, they launched their 12K camera. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, because I have my own thoughts about 12K, but I'm curious yours.
I mean, look, if you're a YouTuber, don't even think about it. Like
Right,
you're never going to need it. Right. That's my thing. And even like in most freelancing scenarios, you're not going to need it. The only time you're going to need it is if a client finds out that you have a camera that can do it, and then they're going to insist that you do it.
But then you've got to work with the 12K files.
But then you
to
got to
do the
work
edit.
with it. And that's a whole other beast in itself. But everything has its market, right? And I think that the new Ursa Mini it has its market, right? Like if you're going to be, I don't know, downsampled 12K would look pretty good in 4K.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
so if you're shooting, I don't know, if you're shooting for the big screen, why not? You know, because if you're shooting for the big screen, then you probably have editors that can edit for the big screen, you know.
Mhm.
So I think in those cases, that's fine. But there's the thing is the price point doesn't really reflect that.
Well, yeah, because those people that are at that high of a level, they're going to be shooting on like REs or
Yeah.
Reds or
I don't know.
like,
Is Black Magic, are they trying to break into that world though? Is that what that might be what's going on here? Is they're trying to become trying to get a bigger footprint in
yeah.
that world and be, you know, more of a competitor? Because I mean, there's plenty of people that use like the Ursas and the Ursa Minis and all that stuff. And but like this kind of camera with more, it's even more of like a prosumer price point, kind of. It's definitely on the higher end of it, but I can't remember what the price was. It was, what was it? I remember seeing it and being like, that's kind of low.
Yeah. We have the magic of technology. It's
Yes.
10,000.
Yeah, that's low, right?
Yeah.
That's low for a 12K camera, I think. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a bigger footprint in that cinema world, and those kind of specs at that kind of price point might give them the ability to do that. So
Yeah, I'm going to be
I don't
very
know.
interested to see like people actually reviewing it because it's not actually out yet. I believe. Like
No,
I don't think you can
so.
actually buy it yet. But I'm super curious because I've heard some people saying that like because of the quality of the sensor, it's really only as good as like 6K. So you might as well like shoot like red 6K and it'd be the same quality as this Blackmagic Raw 12K. So I'm really curious about that and just
Yeah.
seeing because all we have right now is just some sample clips from Blackmagic. So I'm working on an update to our Resolve benchmark, which hopefully I'll be able to have done soon. And I went ahead and threw in 12K Blackmagic Raw because like we're gonna get questions. People are gonna ask.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I'm actually surprised at how well it's doing. Like it seems like a lot of our test systems with mid upper range hardware should be able to do like 24 FPS clips real time.
Yeah,
Nice.
well, that's the beauty of Blackmagic Raw, though. I don't know. It's one of those things. Like I don't know what they did, but Blackmagic Raw in DaVinci Resolve specifically is so easy to work with. Like I was able to work with 4K B-raw on my old HP Envy X360, and like I was telling you guys before the stream, it was 8 gigabytes of RAM. What was it? Nvidia
2 video RAM.
Yeah, no, it was one. It was a Nvidia GTX 930M with 2 gigabytes of VRAM.
Right.
And I was editing 4K B-raw on that thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wonder though, there's probably some secret sauce because it's Blackmagic's like codec, if I'm using the right term, in their software. So like they probably play well together because it's, I mean, it's hand in hand.
They also have a plugin for Premiere, so you can do it. I've heard it's terrible.
Right. Well, and there you go. Oh,
we good?
Yep. Now you're good.
Oh, all right. Oh, Matt dipped out there.
Matt
for
dropped
a second.
out.
That's what it was.
I'm like, back.
Yeah, there we go.
Where did he go?
That's all right.
You guys are sounding a little robot to me, so it's probably my internet.
Yeah, it happens. Hey, you know what? We made it pretty much through the whole thing without any serious issues, so I'll take that as a win.
There you go.
That's always because sometimes it's me weirding out or just the call in general just gets funny sometimes. And I imagine the infrastructure in general with thousands and thousands of people using Zoom for their various needs. We're just we're good. So but we have reached about our hour. So if there's any other questions from the audience, let's get them in now. Otherwise, Jay, is there anything you'd like to mention, shout out, or otherwise promote while we have a bit of a captive audience?
Promote. Yeah. Watch the video that comes out tomorrow. If you guys want to to dive in and see what's inside of one of these machines that Puget can build for you. I'm unboxing one tomorrow on my channel. It's a really fun video, and I promise no PCs were harmed in the making of the video. You'll see what I mean. If you guys watch it tomorrow and you watch that opening sequence, you'll see what I mean.
You dropped it.
No, I didn't drop it. Maybe the box pretending that it's it.
Uh-huh.
I was like, come on, this thing weighs 70 pounds. I have to film myself getting it up the stairs in my house. But I was like, I don't want to. I had the thought after it was already up the stairs in my house. I was like, let's unbox this thing and then tape the box back up and do that whole sequence.
Nice.
I gotta throw in a little thing. We always think our computers are heavy, and then we got in one of the new Mac Pros to do some testing with. Oh my goodness, that thing weighs like 100 pounds. Like literally, like I had to get a second person to help me carry it upstairs. Like I couldn't carry it up the stairs myself. It was nuts.
That's crazy thing, because like that case looks to be like milled from one chunk of aluminum sort of thing. So like
the cheese grater.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
Well, I was surprised. Like the boxes, like just the boxes weighed like 20 or 25 pounds because they used some like crazy cardboard or something in it.
Interesting.
Wow.
Was it like
it was heavy.
Specced out $50,000?
It was one we actually borrowed it from Linus Tech Tips.
Oh, nice.
They owed us a favor, so they sent us the one that they got, and it was actually really interesting. It was like decked out on CPU and video card, and then it had like 16 gigs of RAM because they just replaced the RAM with their own because upgrading the RAM is super easy. So we did the same thing. We just upgraded the RAM to 128 or 256 gigs because we have it. Like, yeah, I understand they didn't want to pay an extra $25,000. So
yeah, right. I was actually just listening one of my favorite podcasts called Tuxedo Time with Becky and Chris. They were just talking. Becky had just bought a Mac Pro, and they were talking about it and how they're just going to upgrade the RAM themselves because I mean why wouldn't you? If it's easy, why not do it yourself?
Yeah, because you can do that. Like video cards, not really as easy in the new ones with how they're handling cooling CPU now. Especially because Apple's are always like special CPUs, like they're not normal ones from Intel.
Right.
But RAM's RAM, whatever.
One last quick question: recommendation for disk optimization with DaVinci Resolve.
I just saw that question. For disk optimization, I'm actually going to defer to you guys. I'm going through like all of your content right now, your blog. And figuring out how to optimize everything and all that stuff. So I'm going to defer to you on that question.
I like this question because I know that we have put out content for Premiere addressing this exact topic. And so I'm curious to see if it's any different, or if we're just... So Matt?
You know, it is a little bit different because of how Resolve handles like your projects and stuff. Honestly, I don't think it's all that important. I think it's more comes down to how you want to organize your stuff than anything else. What I usually tell people is your main drive, like your OS and applications and stuff, I would keep that its own thing. And like you can put like, your downloads folder and stuff is in there, but that's like that kind of stuff. I keep it on its own drive. And then I would have a dedicated drive for like your project media, like your media, your assets and all that kind of stuff. But beyond that, for Resolve, I wouldn't really worry about much more than that. I mean, if you want to have two drives, like one for your optimized media and one for your primary, I guess go for it. But I wouldn't worry about it too much. In Premiere and a lot of Adobe apps, the one thing that's different is their cache files and like their media cache and stuff really eats up like both space and like it has a whole lot of reads and writes, and SSDs have a finite number of writes you can do. So we usually tell people to put those cache files on its own drive because it'll eat through the lifespan of that drive. And then if that drive fails, well, you still have all your assets. All you've lost is your temporary stuff that like will just be regenerated next time you open a project. But because of how Resolve does the databases or the projects in a database, like an SQL database,
right?
It's just not as big of a deal. I mean, I guess you can put that on its own drive, but I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
Would it make a difference?
Would it make a difference if...
Oh, well, like say, would you want like the project files, the stuff you're actually working on, would you want those on NVMe versus regular SSD? Is that going to matter?
SSD is fine. I mean, because like think about like the bit rate of like the stuff you're going to be working with. Like it's not anywhere near 500 megabytes a second that an SSD can do.
Okay.
I mean, maybe if you're doing like, 4 camera multicam 4K raw or 8K or 12K
Something
Blackmagic raw or something, then yeah, maybe you want to have something. But usually it doesn't make a difference in the real world. Like, yeah, you might be able to copy your stuff around like between multiple drives faster if you have like 2 NVMe's, but how often do you inside your computer copy from one drive to another? Like you just don't really do that unless you're copying to like a hard drive for like storage. In that case, it doesn't matter if you're copying from an NVMe or a SATA SSD. Like the hard drive is going to be the limiting question.
Yeah, I mean that's basically how I have it set up. Is just like you said, I've got operating system and apps on OneDrive and downloads folder, but that gets emptied out pretty quickly, and then it's basically everything that I download immediately goes into some kind of folder because it's going into a project. So, and then all my project stuff, including the database and the cache, are all on the
the other advantage of doing that way too, just keeping your OS drive as just like OS and applications, is if Windows decides to update and screw something up, you still have all your projects. Or if you need to do a reinstall, what I try to do a reinstall every year or two, just because all of those constant Windows updates, it leaves all these like crap files. So just doing a clean reinstall every year or two. And what I do is I open my computer and I unplug my secondary drive. Like I don't want to screw up and accidentally start a Windows OS install onto my secondary drive. That's all my important stuff. So I actually just unplug that drive and then I do a Windows install and then I replug it in just to be safe. Like if you're careful, it shouldn't happen. But
right. Nice. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. And then I guess we'll slip one last question in. What is a good cloud storage option?
I can tell you the ones that I hear about.
Is Google Drive one of them? Because that's what I use.
Yeah.
If you pay for it, it's unlimited. It's unlimited storage, and it's not that expensive.
So. Yeah. Google Drive's great. We use that a lot ourselves. I mean, you got like Dropbox, you've got Amazon Web Storage if you really want to go that way. I think Dropbox is better than Amazon. The big one that we hear a lot about, especially for like archiving, is Backblaze. Because Backblaze is pretty darn cheap for what you're getting. But you just have to remember that like archival cloud storage is very different. Like you pay for storing it, but you also pay a fee whenever you download because it's intended for you upload there and then you never have to access it unless you really need to. So you do pay for download, and that's why it's so cheap to store stuff. But for that kind of a thing, Backblaze is awesome.
Yeah, I looked into Backblaze at one point. I think I had temporarily forgotten. Oh wait, I have unlimited storage in Google Drive. Why am I looking at other cloud storage?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I looked into them. It seemed interesting.
Cool. Well, I think that about does it for us then. So I'll say thank you, Jay, for taking time out of the day. I know I didn't realize you had quite so much live streaming doing on Wednesdays, but I appreciate you, coming in on this one after a short break from your own. So thank you for that. Matt problem. As well. Thank you for joining us as well for our little Workflow Wednesday, where we bring industry experts on to answer some questions and give a little perspective on their workflow and inside their own little industries and things. We do this every Wednesday and Friday at 1:00 Pacific. Wednesdays are the industry experts like Jay. And then on Fridays, we do a little kind of an internal talk with our own experts, which we cover kind of the crossover there of hardware and software and what it takes to kind of accomplish what it is you're looking to do. And we'll also thank the audience as well for joining us. And we'll see you all guys next time.
See ya.